I guess they haven't revamped their little intro yet. Okay, in that case, I think it's time I added a little pizzazz of my own starting next week. Maybe I'll make the intros into little skits that are about me or the other schmucks in this Brain Scratch ripoff group, or maybe I'll turn them into little eye catchers. Alright, and welcome back to the Deadpool video game. In the last part, we officially got the supposed story started, as was told by Deadpool himself. In this beginning part of the story, it was said that they were paid to take out some random villain known as Chance White. Now, at first we supposedly took him out, only for him to be taken by two other random villains or whatnot. So, and now here we are chasing him down, starting off with a throwback to classic Zelda games.
You know, this whole area it just goes back into what I was complaining about in the beginning of the first part that I never really got to finish, I guess. Where, yeah, like this whole game is so dull. Like, we even have like these random 8-bit graphics that are like spewed around everywhere, but still the colors just feel samey. Like, if you're gonna have a random little, you know, bit like this, you could have made them more vibrant. Why are the colors still so dull?
Right. I mean, I still agree with you about what direction they took with the colors, but I mean, as this little gag is gonna show, it's not just for the sake of, you know, just being lol, I'm so random. No, it's like, I guess after what happened near the end of the last level,
well, yeah,
because of the fact
it's a budget joke is the thing.
Yeah. So because of that, that's why they went with this. They threw this gag in.
It still feels just weird. I don't know.
Right.
I get the joke, but it still feels kind of forced.
Well, it's like, you know, yeah, I mean, I get the joke too, but it's like, again, look back to like Zelda 1, which is like clearly what this is a reference to. It's like, yeah, I mean, look at the actual look at the dungeons in the first Zelda game, and it's like the colors in there. It's like it's black, it's blue, it's green. You know, they actually use like bright colors like that.
It's one of those things where it's like I don't get, like, especially considering that they're using, like, if this was a Wolverine game, I think I'd forgive it a little bit more because Wolverine's supposed to be a much more serious character. But even then, I'd still have my complaints. But this is Deadpool. He's supposed, like, his whole thing, like, you know, he's supposed to be a highlight character. He's very much a comic relief. So I don't see why it makes much sense why his game is so dull looking.
Yeah, it's like, you can get away with going over the top with the colors and everything. You can get away with that with Deadpool.
No, not even just that. Like, look at games like Bayonetta. Bayonetta is, you know, it's a game that doesn't, you know, it takes itself seriously, but at the same time it doesn't take itself seriously. It's one of those games. It's a very gothic setting game, but it's still way more vibrant than this.
That's true.
Like, Deadpool isn't supposed to be gothic. Like, it's weird. Like, it's very jarring. Like, they're trying to add in all these cartoony aspects for the character, but they're putting him in this very, very realistic setting. And even then, I can't even say that it's that realistic. It still looks very dull.
Okay.
Like, I've seen first-person shooter games in the past that were based off actual real-world settings, like actual wars and such, that looked way more colorful than this. It's weird. Like, I just don't get the design choice for it.
God, now I'm just somewhat thinking is like, what was it? So, well, you heard it here, folks. Battlefield 1 better than this game. God, I don't know. Yeah, graphically. Well, I mean, it's like, actually, I guess if you want to, like, you know, look at it from another perspective, I guess I don't know if we consider it unfair or not, because it's like, okay, here we have this game where it was originally made for the Xbox 360, PS3, and the PC, only for it to be ported over to next-gen consoles. Battlefield 1 was already made, like, for the current-gen consoles, you know, Xbox One, PS4, all that jazz. So of course, with newer generation consoles, of course you're gonna see a lot of improvements compared to its predecessors.
Yeah.
Still, like, okay, look at games like, I guess, you know, referencing back to one of your old Let's Plays, Ryan, look at Halo. That's a game that completely took itself seriously. And but that was still a very beautiful, vibrant game, even for its time.
That is true. I mean, yeah, it's like thinking back at how it was when I played Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary or whatnot. It's like, that and probably even the original game for that matter. Yeah, the color still pretty much, the color still pretty much stood out. I mean, granted, in the original Halo Combat Evolved game, it's like, yeah, you could tell that, okay, Master Chief's armor, you know, it's green, but with that game, it was still just a little bit on the pale side, but that was completely fixed or whatnot when if you were to, like, say, look back at our Let's Play of Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary and see the new graphics engine that was put over the original game, where, yeah, instead of being not just green and a little bit on the pale side, but yeah, you could see the vibrant green color on Master Chief's armor.
But even still, I think the weirdest thing to me about this is, like, this whole time I've been trying to figure out what colors they're missing. But I think maybe it's not even so much the fact that they're missing colors. I think the thing is there's too much gray. Which goes, just back into the whole, it looks too dull. That's just the big thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Nice. I see what you're saying. And yeah, I know we were in a way talking over like that match, that little beatdown with like a lot of those mooks. But for those who didn't actually notice, there is actually one achievement that, for some people it's a little bit on the difficult side, but if you time it just right, you can pull it off a lot earlier than expected. Where you can easily unlock another achievement if you get like a 300 combo or so. There are multiple like ways you could do so in this game, but as far as I'm aware, that's probably like the earliest time you could ever pull that off. I will show off one other way you could get a really high combo, like probably well over 300, like when we get into like probably near end game or whatnot. Basically, it's a method that I've seen a lot of people do, like when they try to do like these little achievement guides or whatnot, if they want to pull that kind of thing off.
Okay.
And also,
This,
we introduced
Killer
to
Croc?
It looks like it, doesn't it?
Yeah, kind of does.
Killer Croc if he fused with Diamond Head from Ben 10.
You know what?
That's probably the most apt description we're going to get of this guy here.
I mean, it's like, I know
strongly
Killer
agree.
Croc is technically DC, but still, it's like, when I think, reptilian humanoid thing living in a sewer, I think fucking Killer Croc.
Right. Although at the same time, I don't know. It's like, I mean, I call it. I don't know. I'll just go and assume that he's probably part reptile and whatnot. I can only imagine in actuality they're trying to portray him as like some really bulky crystal gem like monster or whatnot.
You're the crystal gems. That'd be a whole different story if that dude was anyway.
Oh my god, yes.
The crystal gems in freaking Batman Arkham Asylum.
Speaking of Killer Croc, actually, I recently saw this like a couple pages of a comic of a recent DC comic that involved Killer Croc, where apparently he got a girlfriend, and apparently Killer Croc is actually a really good boyfriend, which is interesting to think about.
No kidding.
Like, he's very supportive of her. Like, he treats her right. Like, it's one of those things. But the thing is, she is like a human girlfriend. Like, I think she's another villain. I don't actually know her name because she talked about him having having a criminal record. So, speed up. But yeah, I do always love tidbits like that about characters because that's what makes a good character. When they're not just, insert hero here or insert villain here. A good character has to have quirks.
Right.
Ow.
Hey, Arclight! Looking good, babe!
Now, Arclight. This is the first game where I've seen Arclight. Like it's Arclight and Vertigo. You said before this where
Oh
these two
yeah,
girls,
yeah,
right?
yeah. It's like for those for you viewers at home, BJ and I asked BJ about this earlier about these next couple of villains we're gonna be running into in this part. The first being Arclight, and then this other villain of Vertigo. Now, this is the first time I've ever heard or seen these villains in action, like, within this game or whatever. But I was asking BJ at one earlier point, it's like, seeing as how he's, like, more knowledgeable about the Marvel Universe than I was, it's like, if they're, like, more well-known, I'm just, like, you know, I just wasn't paying attention at all, or what.
Maybe it's an X-Men thing?
That's what I'm thinking. Like, X-Men has a lot of mutants, whether they're good or bad is whatever. But like they have a lot of mutants in their hat to pick from. So I wouldn't be, and so I've never heard of, or like before I saw this game in action the first time, I never heard of Arclight and Vertigo before this, which makes me think that they're probably just two mutant villains that showed up in the comics here and there, and were just chosen to be minor villains in this game.
Right,
Because
I guess
they had a big hat to pick from.
Right. I guess this also correlates back to the whole budget gag that they're gonna be doing like throughout the majority of this game, because later on, even like when we first run into Vertigo, even Deadpool will be like, "Oh come on, Vertigo? Can we seriously not afford any better bad guys?"
It could also have something to do with the fact that they are both both Arclight and Vertigo are both decently attractive women, which again is something that also bothers me regarding how people will typically write Deadpool stories. Because Deadpool is a pig. Obviously, he's very much like he's very much not shy on his view, really, to people in general. Because Deadpool is a pansexual. He'll have sex with literally anybody he feels like it. But like
my turn.
I feel like people.
Yes.
Superhero landing. Yeah, that's really hard on your knees. Totally impractical. They all do it.
No.
I'm sorry, that was
I hate
what.
cuts. They distract me too much.
I'm sorry.
No,
that
you're
just
good.
that was just way too perfect of an opportunity. I could not help
But no,
it.
like I was saying, something that people tend to override about the Deadpool character is that they seem to want to make him. They always seem to want to associate him with just like, oh, I'm going after the most attractive women, and that's all I care about. And that this game does kind of do that, and it's like I don't like it when they do that, because I don't know, that doesn't entirely fit that. I guess it kind of does, because like I said, Deadpool is a pig, but like
Yeah.
Well, that was the thing, like, even in the movie, it was like, yeah, Deadpool has a girlfriend, but he wasn't above, like, making, like, some, like, lewd comments and everything.
Well,
So
here's
it's
the thing. That's just Deadpool in general. He's always been lewd. But, like, the thing is, the difference there is, what was her name, Vanessa?
yeah.
Yeah, she was the same back to him, is the difference there. They actually had a general caring about each other. And not to mention, I don't recall it. I need to watch the movie again. How did their conversation start again? I don't think it necessarily started with Deadpool immediately going after her looks. Didn't their conversation start about them trying to like?
They were trying to like outdo each other, like like who had like the worst life.
Yeah, exactly, and they were able to connect in that way.
Yeah.
Which then followed up with numerous sex scenes between the two of them.
Oh yeah, of course.
And then Heavy Lent.
Yes. Oh
It's
god.
like son of a bitch. Oh god, Deadpool was an experience in the theaters, if only just because, like, the majority of the people that were in the movie theater were, like, my parents. Like, I knew a little bit about the character, mostly because of Realm Wars, who was a massive fan, so I knew a little bit about him. But then it's like my parents know nothing about the character, so they didn't know what they were getting into with that movie. And it was just all throughout the movie. I was just like surrounded by people going like, I can't believe they actually got away with doing that. And I'm like, yeah, I'm just sitting here. I'm like, it's Deadpool.
I had the funnier experience because my Sophia came with us to see the movie, and she was just uncomfortable the whole time.
Yeah,
she thought it was funny, but like whenever like it brought up like the sex scenes and stuff, she just shied away and covered her eyes.
Now it's like, okay.
Okay, that was fucking funny.
Anyways, like, yeah, like, going back to the whole, I was like, I know we were going on, like, through the Arclight fight, but it's like, I should probably throw in a tip in there when it comes to, as Deadpool is trying to pretend like he's a bird. Yeah, there's that. It's hilarious. Anyway, it's like, I think the best way to, like, to handle, Arclight's battle, it's like, you could go ahead and just, like, throw in all these combos and whatnot, but you have to pay attention to, like, the visual cue of her blocking your attack. Like, the very first, like, the very next attack. Like, once you see the animation where Arclight like blocks like one of your attacks, that is a clear sign that okay, she's gonna counter and you need to teleport, and you definitely need to keep your eyes on that, like during the second phase of the fight, because yeah, as you saw, she also released special, I guess, Psycheo attacks? I don't know, I'm sure just pulling off something from, like, Street Fighter or some shit. But it's like, yeah, these special attacks that if you get hit by Arclight special attacks, then you feel not so much dizzy, but you move a lot slower, and you're surrounded by this orange aura, which will give Arclight the opportunity to do, like, some very, like a super move of sorts, which can deplete a lot of your health in one go. And as you saw, there was also an achievement where if you're able to take Arclight out without being hit by any of those special moves, like during the second phase, then yeah, you'll definitely be able to unlock achievement that way. And this is also another take at another achievement. You have to go to this little section here where you not only have to pull both of those switches and whatnot, but also take out these two newly introduced villains, as it were. These other versions of the Mr. Sinister's mooks, all within all within less than a minute. Yeah, I believe there is a. I think the easiest way to go about this particular achievement and whatnot is that there is one upgrade. I cannot remember the name of it for the life of me, but it's basically one of the many earlier combos that you get to unlock with Deadpool, where it's like, if you start off with a light attack and then move on with like a heavier attack and whatnot, you can send your opponent launching into the air, where you can also juggle your opponents to inflict, where you can also inflict more damage. That was also really useful in that particular case, seeing as how I was able to just fling those opponents up in the air like no problem and just fly them off into the edge. That way I won't have to waste too much time dealing with them.
Okay. So, before, when you were going up against that chick and the screen got all wobbly and everything, like, does that actually do anything? Like, does that affect the gameplay, or was that just a visual thing?
I think that might have been a visual thing.
Yeah, I believe Vertigo's power involves some kind of mind manipulation. Not quite sure, actually.
It's like from how they portrayed Vertigo's abilities, basically is like I don't know if it's like, I highly doubt it's like some kind of sound wave or whatnot, but it's some kind of attack where it's like it makes you so dizzy that not only that it messes up with the victim's motor skills and whatnot, like it's really hard for him to like stand up or like see straight or whatever, but yeah, it is like it could also make you like relatively sick, considering how
her name is Vertigo. She gives you vertigo.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, but you would figure something like that would actually, affect the gameplay itself. I mean, like, considering you're just juking around left and right and everything, you think that, they do something.
Well, here's the thing about that, Danny. You're playing as Deadpool. Vertigo's powers don't really work on Deadpool. They have some effects, but not that much. Like, it's kind of established that Deadpool's psyche is just so far gone that most telepaths and psychics have a hard time really getting a grip on it.
Okay.
Right. I mean, it's like apparently from what we'll see like later on, it's like, yeah, apparently Vertigo's powers are strong enough for to make Deadpool dizzy and vomit, but that's just about it, really. I can only imagine if it was anybody else, it'd probably make him feel like much worse.
It's like on top of that, like people, you know, they, going back to what I was kind of going about over earlier, they, you know, they love the sight gags, they love the fourth wall jokes, they love the I'm so random, but like they don't really think about what Deadpool's actual psyche and how that affects himself and the people around him. Like something, I think the biggest example of that is actually the character Venom. Believe it or not, Venom is the reason that he is because of Deadpool. The symbiote that, you know, first came to Earth, for one thing, the symbiotes are actually a fairly peaceful race. But the one that came to Earth, guess who its first host was? Deadpool! And the symbiotes, like that, with them being symbiotes, that's with a symbiotic relationship, you know, symbiotes typically gain something from their host. But since its first host was Deadpool, it went mad. And then after that, you know, then it left Deadpool, and then soon found Spider-Man, and that's how we have the you know, the Venom as we know today.
Got a headache, man.
So what you're saying is, if it wasn't for Deadpool, we would have had Spider-Man 3.
Yes, technically.
I've got you.
How are you throwing up through your mask?
Same way he was eating pizza through his mask.
Yeah, I was gonna say. But with that, now we get a little bit of a Deadpool collecting minigame. Where it's like, yeah, it's like, while you're collecting all of these Deadpool points, you gotta be sure you don't hit those little, railing, well, not railings.
He reaches the end and his entire backside is just completely scraped off.
That would actually be a very nice, like, touch of detail if they were to
He'll
pull that
back.
off.
So
He'll heal back.
I just want to see like a huge blood streak just going down through the entire thing.
Yes, Sinister. All my satellites are
Yep,
in place.
there's the main villain,
For you
quote unquote,
broadcast.
Mr. Sinister.
Ooh, Mr. Bad guy. He's a mutate like me. He never wants to go out for beers. He uses his genius intellect to study cloning and all sorts of crap that bad guys do to make armies. He's also the boss of the Marauders, total losers who do his evil bidding. Evil.
Yeah, Sinister, I did always find a pretty interesting character. I need to double check to see what his deal was in like the comics. I know, like in the TV show, they kind of brought up how he was he was alive actually during around the times of Newton.
Time to have a little chat with
I'm sorry, not Newton, Darwin.
Hey there,
Like he actually knew Darwin, and he was the one that go down. And he was the one that who kind of brought up the idea of, you know, mutant evolution, which Darwin actually turned down.
Why is this happening?
Game over.
Ow. No, it's okay. His head's still intact. He'll be fine.
It doesn't matter if his head's still intact. You can leave nothing but a blood spot, and Deadpool will come back.
Oh, that is also true. Which further proves my point that he'll be fine regardless.
Deadpool, you need to listen to me. Mr. Sinister has taken over Chance
Hard
White's
to
satellite.
believe we used to date her.
why'd he dump her? She's hot.
Not as hot as Psylocke, though.
Were you even paying attention?
Hey, there we go. Wolverine. Yes, and here, yes, we finally get Wolverine, voiced by Steve Bloom. Yes.
Go to the island? Hey, we'll have to fly there. Are we taking the Blackbird? Oh, I always wanted to fly the Blackbird.
No goddamn way.
Deadpool, quit fooling around.
I am still a little curious why they chose specifically these X-Men. Like, Wolverine was a duh, but then why specifically Rogue, Psylocke, and Domino, aside from the fact that, oh, they're the hot women of the group?
Well, I'm trying to think. It's like, oh god, it's like with characters like Domino, it's like wasn't she also like a relatively did she have like a relatively decent role in the Deadpool comics?
You know what? Domino is actually one of the Marvel characters I actually don't know much about. Come to think of it, like
I sure
really
as hell don't.
Yeah, I really don't know much about Domino. Like I know Rogue's whole thing. She got her powers, like she has her skin powers, and she got her flying and super strength from Miss Marvel. And then like Psylocke, she was she was a normal telepath before her mind was transmuted into an Asian assassin's body, and now she's both a telepath and a kick-ass Asian assassin. Don't know how that works, but okay.
Right.
Yeah, I know those sticks. Domino, I don't know much about though.
Right. All right, but okay, so now with that chance wiped done it, now that we know what our true villain of this game is, that'll pretty much do it for this part of Deadpool, ladies and gentlemen. So join us next time as we head off to Genosha. We will see you guys then.